Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is, Do You Look at Things After the Outward Appearance? Just trying to see if it's not coming up on the channel as it's live, but StreamYard is saying that it is live. So I guess it's live. I mean, I can't verify it. It's not popping up on the channel, but I guess it is live because I see brothers on the comment board and sisters also. So I usually like to check it, but for some reason it's not letting me. So irregardless, all right. So Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. As you can see, I'm recording or going live on GMS Info channel 13. They gave me a strike on my other channel, number 12, because of so-called medical misinformation, they said. And pretty much, you know, it's the one where I was saying, what are they going to say now, or what are you going to say now, or something like that along those lines. But anyway, at any rate, this lesson is inspired, you know, by this video I was watching last night, Elder Apostle Gabar's video here, expose him, dealing with this brother here, you know, who's in the camp out in England. I'm not sure if the brother's from Romania or Turkey, one of those places, you know, but the brother is an Israelite. He just happens to look the way he looks, you know, and it just prompted me to write. That scripture quickly popped in my head, which we're going to read, Lord's will, you know. And this is the problem with a lot of people out there, is they look at things after the outward appearance. Now, the man is an Israelite. He just happens to look like an Edomite, you know. And at the end of the day, this is not a black or white thing. It's an Israelite thing, whoever an Israelite is. We've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And if we've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, it stands to reason that we're going to mingle and mix with the other nations. And this is why it's important to understand or have the true understanding of seed, you know, of what a seed is. A seed is what brings forth, you know, whatever the fruit or person is going to be. Salaki for a minute. You know, and this is why it's important to understand that, because you have clowns out there that say that, you know, if your mother is a Moabite or Edomite or whatever she is, and your father happens to be Jake, that you're a mamzer, you're a bastard, so you're not allowed in the congregation of Israel, which is total bullshit and total nonsense. You know, you are what your father is. And no matter how many times we bring it out, them faggots, you know, yeah, I use the F-bomb. They conveniently don't listen to it, you know, because if by their reasoning, if one is a mamzer and not allowed to come into the congregation of Israel, because of they have a mother that's a heathen, then none of the tribes will be able to come into this, you know. Sarah was an Israelite, you know, so Abraham's the children, the son that's shared by him, Isaac, he wouldn't be able to come into the congregation because she wasn't an Israelite. He wasn't an Israelite. He was of the chosen line, but Sarah wasn't an Israelite. So what's up with that? Then Rebecca was not an Israelite. So Jacob and Esau coming of her, how could the Lord choose Jacob, you know, whose name was later changed to Israel, if their mothers were not Israelite mothers? Then you go down the line, you had the patriarchs, you know, you had Leah and Rachel, which they were not Israelites, and then they had the two handmaids, which are definitely not Israelites, and you had all of the 12 tribes come out of them. Then Joseph had his two sons by an Egyptian woman. So on and so forth. King Solomon, had his son Rehoboam had a Ammonite mother. So, what's up with that? Oh boy. Just bear with me. All right, Salaki about that. So none of those would be able to be allowed to be in the congregation of Israel because they all had heathen mothers. So you see this stupidity. That's the stupidity of these individuals that they trying to be perfect, but they're pretty much bugged out. But anyway, regardless of that, now this brother, the way he looks, I know he gets a lot of flack. I at one time got a lot of that flack back in the days, because back then, if you was a certain hue, so to speak, a certain shade, light shade, you would get, the side eye. I've been in situations at One West, where myself and a Benjamin brother that fell out years ago, he was super dark. And there's one individual that was a prominent, member back then. He came up to us. He saluted the brother. He gave him a hearty salute. I saluted him. He looked at me like I was a piece of dog shit. And I felt the way about it, but I said, hey, I just had to deal with it. What could I do? So I understand, about that type of rejection, and being looked down upon. So, any chance I get, I try to do lessons like this to encourage brothers that are in this, that look like that, that look like the other nations, to just keep on going. The Spirit called them into this thing. We didn't call them into this thing. They didn't call themselves into this thing. Yahweh B'Shem Shai drew them into here. So it stands to reason that there's a reason why they came in this. Now the parable about the wheat and the tares, that does not apply to brothers that look like Edomites in the other nations, because the parable says that the chaff is going to look like the wheat. So how can an Edomite looking individual be a tare if they look like the Edomites? The tare would look like the wheat. So it would be so-called black Edomites. Dudes that is dark brown with afros that are Edomites. That's what that parable speaking about. It's not speaking about brothers that look like Edomites, that look like Moabites. Because, there's going to be a influx of Israelites coming in looking like all different nations. And you're going to have a lot of individuals, even guys in GMS, that are going to get offended by that. Because really deep down inside, they don't accept that. They're just going along to get along. And it's going to be made manifest. When all these different Israelites start coming from these different nations that look like those nations, a lot of individuals out there are going to get super and highly offended. And they're going to fall right out. All right? I'm just telling you what the Spirit is telling me. And we've been saying this for a while now. There's nothing new. Well, matter of fact, which that leads us to the first precept. Let's go real quick to the book of Habakkuk, the first chapter. Because this stupidity has to stop. And this is why the scriptures say that the carnal mind cannot receive the things of the Spirit, because they are spiritually discerned. So these individuals that think that way are not spiritually discerned. Here it is. This man is breaking the scriptures down properly. He's in the zone. He's in the Spirit. You can see the Spirit on this man. Whether it's this brother here, or any of the other brothers that look like that, they in the Spirit. They teaching. They breaking things down properly. How in the fuck is that gonna be Edomite? Let me get two precepts if I can remember. And the other one. But this is the utter sheer stupidity and ignorance of these people. And it gets under your skin sometimes. You know, it pisses you off, the level of stupidity. For those that are supposed to be awake, they're supposed to be on another higher intelligent level, to say some stupid shit like that. You know, it pisses you off. This is Daniel 12:10. Listen good. Maybe something will get through them stiff-necked ears that you got, them uncircumcised ears that you got. Daniel 12:10. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. So who's identified as the wicked? The Edomites. So none of them are going to understand this. That's why their whole plight is to what? To try to destroy this by whatever means they can, because they cannot understand it, because they will not be able to understand. They do not possess the spiritual minerals to understand this truth. But here it is, you got a brother like this that understands it, as breaking it down properly, but they, because of the color of his skin and the way he looks, they go, oh, he's an Edomite. Hey, I'm going to say it like this. You niggas got to get off that shit, all right? Get the fuck off of that shit, or you're going to die. Bottom line. All right, Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 9. Listen good again. It says, thus saith the Lord power, no stranger uncircumcised in heart, nor uncircumcised in flesh shall enter into my sanctuary, of any stranger that is among the children of Israel. So get that through your thick skull. You're not going to have a devil come into this thing. And if a devil did come into this thing, they would leave very quickly. It's happened before. You've had individuals that came in dark skin, brown, you know, with the woolly hair, come up in there, you know, and then what happened? They end up leaving out. Why? Because they were Edomites. You had an East Indian looking dude that came to the school years ago, you know, and we gave him the benefit of the doubt. And as soon as brother started going into, you know, the whole thing about the Elamites going into slavery, he jumped up and left. He got offended. He said, I don't want to pollute your temple with my Elamite presence. He said that. So the nations, their spirit is not geared to this. Their spirit is not niched with the spirit of the Most High. Let's go real quick to Romans chapter. And this shows you that these individuals are not spiritual at all. You know, but you know what? They are a necessary evil. They have to be there. Because the Lord said that they would be there. Woe to the world because of offenses, but you know, it is impossible but that offenses must come. But woe to them by whom the offense cometh. It was better for him that he be hung around, a millstone be hanged around his neck, and he drowned in the deepest part of the ocean. And this is all a part of, you know, those trials and tribulations that we have to go through. You know, and back then I hated it, you know, hated going through it. You know, I disdain it, you know. I hated it. I really did. You know, and I was wondering why would the Lord put me through it? Why? You know, why you put me through this? It's, you know. But I understand now why. For the you know, for example today, to be a comfort to these brothers and sisters that's coming in looking like that. You know? There's a reason for everything. There's a reason for all our trials and tribulations, because we can later use them as experiences to help those that are going through it at the time, that may not know what to do. So this is Romans 8:16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. The other nations are not linked to the Most High like that. This man, you know, could not come into this thing unless the Lord drew him into this. Let's go to St. John 6:44. St. John 6:44. No man, for those of you that are slow, no man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him. and I will raise them up at the last day. So we're in the last days now. And this is why you see brothers coming from all different walks of life coming into this. You know, being sealed, being, you know, brought into this thing. And what do? We give diligence to make our calling and election sure. Because we know we've definitely been called, but we don't know if we've been chosen. You know, so we give the diligence and the hopes. So the Lord is the one that draws men into this, women into this. You know, and it doesn't matter what they look like, because the Lord is the one doing the choosing. Let's go real quick to Hosea chapter 5 and verse 3. I know Ephraim, and Israel is not hid from me. So it doesn't matter what cover an Israelite has around the world, whether he looks like an Edomite, or he looks like a Hamite, or he looks like an Elamite, or he looks like an Ishmaelite, or he looks like an Ammonite or a Moabite, or whatever other nation out there. The Lord reads the spirit, and he knows what spirit is in that body. And remember, these bodies are going to be changed anyway. So it says, I know Ephraim, and Israel is not hid from me. For now, O Ephraim, thou committest whoredom, and Israel is defiled. So the point is that I know Ephraim, and Israel is not hid from me. So no matter where on the planet Earth Israelites are at, the Lord knows who they are, no matter what they look like. And who are you to judge another man's servant? These brothers are serving the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Acts 15:18. Known unto the Most High. Listen good, you uncircumcised ear and heart having clowns out there. Known unto the Most High are all his works. All his works. All his works. Known unto the Most High are all his works from the beginning of the world. So no matter where an Israelite is, the Lord knows who they are, where they are. No matter what they look like. See, the Most High don't look at things like you look at things, or like as we look at things as men, because our whole mindset is set up to call things out because of the labels that we've been that's been embedded in us in this society. Because sometimes that spirit will jump on us, this Edomite, but then you start to speak to the person or start watching their mannerism and seeing how they move. Say, now that dude got to be a Jake. He can't be no Edomite, He got too much swag. And it ain't that fake wigger, swag. It's real. It's authentic. So now let's go to the main scripture I was going to go to, Habakkuk 1:5. Behold ye among the heathen. See? So the Lord is speaking, saying, behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously. For I work a work in your days which you will not believe, though it be told you. Right. And then years ago, High Priest Yeshaya, which was his title, said that this was talking about, it was talking about the chariots. And it's not talking about the chariots. This is talking directly about the Israelite foreigners. That's what the Lord said, for I will work a work in your days which you will not believe, though it be told you. Now, the link up to this is in the book of Acts 13. And we're going to start at the 38th verse. It says, be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man, which is Yahushua, is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins, because the Israelite foreigners had to be brought back into the fold, because they had fallen away. They had forsook the way of the Lord, but now they have, and the Lord casted them out. So now the Lord is having mercy on them again. And this was a part of the gospel. The Gentiles, which are the Israelite foreigners, being brought back into the fold that they belong to anyway, returning back to the fold. That's why you had the ministry or the gospel of reconciliation, because it was a returning back to something that they previously were a part of. Because you cannot return back to something that you were never a part of. That's why understanding words is very important. And this is why devils like Vocab and them clowns, they set up something called replacement theology or supersessionism to replace the Israelites, because they knew that there was no way that they can get their bullshit off unless they remove the Israelites out of the way and replace them with the so-called believing church, which the believing church are the Israelites. So this is the truth that was being preached to the Israelite foreigners. And you know some of those foreigners didn't look like your typical Israelites, because they were being mingled among the Greeks and the Romans, in different nations. Some of them could have had chinky eyes. Some of them could have had been looking like Canelo. You know what I'm saying? But the point is that they're Israelites because of their fathers, who their fathers are. Just like Timothy is an Israelite, whose father just happened to call himself Greek. It says, and by him, meaning through Yahushua, all that believe of who? Of the Israelites are justified from all things. This is that world without end, or the world of Israel that believed in the Lord. And justified of all things, from which you could not be justified by the law of Moses, right? Because the law of Moses brought death, because through the law of Moses, or through the law in general, was what? Was the acknowledgement of sin. But then when Yahushua came on the scene, he was able to take that death sentence, or that death penalty, away by the sacrifice of himself. It says, beware therefore lest that come upon you which is spoken of in the prophets, which we just read in the book of Habakkuk, the 1st chapter. Behold, ye despisers, and wonder and perish, for I work a work in your days, a work which you shall in no wise believe, though a man declare it unto you. And as you read further down, it speaks about, matter of fact, let's read on. And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles, or the Israelite foreigners, besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. So this is what it is. It's the Israelite foreigners being brought back into the fold. And the ones that despised, they were rejected. Now, when the congregation was broken up, and many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who speaking to them persuaded them to continue in the grace of the Most High. And pretty much the next Sabbath, all of the city came together, those Israelite foreigners came together, and the Jews got jealous to fulfill what? Romans 11 chapter. To provoke them to jealousy with a no people, which are who? These Israelites that became a non-people at one point. They became like the nation. Some of them was so deep into it that they didn't even call themselves Jews anymore, or Israelites. And just imagine that compounded with the way that they look and losing their way. And then to come to find out that they are part of this fold and being brought back into it. It's a beautiful thing. Now let's go to Deuteronomy 28 real quick. Which these wacky-tacky Christians hate this chapter because it cold cuts them, because it tells you, beyond a shadow of a doubt who the Israelites are, but they're always going to, no, well, see, it says that you will not sell yourself and do the fuck out of here with that bullshit, man. It said if at all possible, they would deceive the very elect. Deuteronomy 28:64, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And what happened? We eventually discontinued from our heritage, our nationality, and everything in between. All right? Now let's go from there to the book of Hosea, chapter 8, and verse 8. It says, Israel is swallowed up, now shall they be among the Gentiles, as a vessel wherein is no pleasure, because we fell as a people, and worshiping them idols. The Lord was like, nah, you ain't none of mine. That's why I say, that you are not my people. There's a reason why that's written in the book of Hosea, the 1st chapter. You are not my people, because we provoked the Most High to jealousy. So he cast us off. We wandered among these nations, learned their ways, married their women. The children were brought up speaking the language of these nations and not speaking their language, as it happened in the book of Nehemiah. And this is why Nehemiah was mad, because they fell in love with the heathen women, when the heathen women were only supposed to be used as concubines, and any child that would have came out of them was an Israelite, and they were supposed to teach them the language. Why do you think Nehemiah got so pissed off? Because the children were speaking the language of their mothers and learning the customs of their mothers, not learning, the customs of Israel, and that they were Jews, that they couldn't even speak their own language. And this is what happened in many different captivities, many different scatterings. So you have people out there right now that have no clue that they're Israelites. They think that they're whatever nation that they were brought up under. And that's why it's going to be manifest when the time comes, when this seed, which is this word, enters into them and lifts them back up. And they're going to come back to the realization that they're Israelites and come back to the fold. And a lot of Israelites that are so-called quote unquote awoke now are going to get offended. And that's why Yahweh said, blessed is he whosoever is not offended in me. Now, let's go to the main scripture, which is in, I believe that's 2 Corinthians 10, or it might be 1 Corinthians 10. Yep, 2 Corinthians 10 and 7. Do ye look on things after the outward appearance? This is a question. Because if you're looking at things after the outward appearance, then you don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. And the word for outward appearance is prosopon, which is the face. See? So looking at the brother just for face value, he looks like an Edomite. He got the red hair, red beard, but seeing him in action, watching him, his mannerism, his ability to teach, his ability to understand this word and teach it, and say that Edomites are going to go into slavery, into captivity. That brings a whole different dynamic to those that are spiritual and can see it. All right, so it says the front of the human head, countenance, look, the face so far forth as if it is the organ of sight, and by it various movements and changes, the index of the inward thoughts and feelings, so on and so forth. The outward appearance of inanimate things. So the outward appearance, what the man looks like. So do you look on that? Do you look on things after the outward appearance? Because if you do, then you're gonna miss all that heavenly glory. Now let's go real quick to the Apocrypha, the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 11, and verse 1. It says, wisdom lifteth up the head of him that is of low degree, and maketh him to sit among great men. And with this wisdom, your mind changes. You become more wise. You're able to discern things. You're able to make better judgments. You won't make a stupid, foolish, oh, look, this brother, he's like an Edomite. Yo, they ain't no Israelite. He's an Edom. No, he's an Israelite. So it goes on to say, commend not a man for his beauty, neither abhor a man for his outward appearance. The word abhor means to avoid. Neither avoid a brother for his outward appearance. I remember years ago, we went to, this is during the time of, I believe that was it was the first split the split that, happened between King Masha and High Priest Ariah, when we ended up going to 126th Street, which was the house of David. There was a Passover that we had. That was at Union Square. There was some room there, across the street from Union Square in that area. And I remember the old Boston crew, they came down, and there was this one individual that looked similar to this brother here. He was from South America. And when I saw him walking in, he was in line to get food, and I made it my business in my mind. I said, I'm going to approach this brother. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to kick it with him, to kind of comfort him. Because back then, brother, there was hardly any comfort coming from anybody, when you look the way we looked back then. But the apostles, brothers in Connecticut, some brothers in New York, they embraced me, So I wanted to, show the same to the brother. He ended up being a demon later, but the point is, I made it my business to step to him, and to kick it with him and talk to him, to reassure him that he was an Israelite. And then the other dude that was with him, he looked kind of like an Arab / Elamite, but they were Jakes, both of them. I mean, that whole crew ended up falling out, but the point is, that I made it my business to step to him, to talk to him. We exchanged numbers, we kept in touch, and then a whole other bullshit came out of that. But the point is, I made it my business to do that because the Spirit was on me to do it. So let's read that again. Neither abhor a man for his outward appearance. So do you look on things after the outward appearance? Now let's go to another. Got like 2 more precepts, and I'm gonna end it on that. Let's go from there to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 12, and verse 9. It says, "Mine heritage." What is the heritage of the Most High? The Israelites. How do we know that? Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy 32. Let's start at 8. It says, "When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, he divided every land by lot. When he separated the sons of Adam, and the sons of Adam were separated, not integrated. He set the bounds of the people," meaning all the other nations, "according to the number of the children of Israel." So he gave them their lands, but he reserved the best land for our forefathers, for us. It says, "For the Lord's portion is" what? His people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So the Most High's heritage, the Israelites, is unto me as a speckled bird. Now, a speckled bird is a bird of many colors. When we look up the word speckled, you have the word tazabawai. All right? And tazabawai, you read here, it says colored, variegated, speckled. When you look up the word variegated, it means something of many colors. It says exhibiting different colors, especially as irregular patches or streaks. So you have the heritage of the Lord, the Israelites, are many different shades, many different colors, hair textures, everything, because the Most High is a power of variety. Then you go to the root word of tazabawai, which is tazabai, and it says what? It says dye, dyed stuff, something dyed, color, cloth. And when you go, let me see, meaning to dip into coloring fluid. You know how back in the days when Jake would take the eggs and dip them into that water with the different colors and paint the so-called Easter eggs. But when you put the cursor on the tazabai, it says diverse colors. And that's what it means, different colors. Because the Israelites range from a very dark brown, coarse hair, woolly hair, to very light brown, a very light, even looking like Edomites, straight hair, everything, nose, straight nose, everything, So this is only for the ones that really have the true understanding, of this. And like I said before, I'm going to say it again, you're going to have a lot of Israelites out there, even in GMS, when the whole influx of Israelite foreigners comes in, they're going to be offended, because they're going to see people that look like Moabites, straight up Ammonites, straight up Edomite looking people, straight up Hamite looking people, straight up Ishmaelite looking people, Elamite looking people, and they're going to get offended. But matter of fact, I was going to leave you with one last precept, but this one just came to mind, and we must be allowed to read this one. But before I read that, let me get this one in Hosea chapter 7, verse 8. It says, "Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people," and this is why we were as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. It says, "Ephraim is a cake not turned." And that means you have a bread, and you cook it on one side, and the ovens are so hot that one side almost burns, and you pull it out, but you never flip it on the other side. That's how the Ephraimites are, from a very dark brown to so-called white-looking people. You have some with blonde hair, blue eyes, green eyes, but their line goes back to the Israelites. Now, not every so-called Puerto Rican line goes back to Jake, just like not every Italian or every Irish person, that you see goes back to Israelites, just like not every so-called Negro you see in America goes back to an Israelite. Some of them go back to Edomites. Well, ain't you guys mixed? Don't then the Spaniards come down there and take over the island and take. Yeah, but then the slave master raped the black women and had children with them and threw them right in the field with them. Hey, even Lauryn Hill says some nappy heads got to check their neck for red. So it can go in. The argument can go round and round. But the point is that the Israelites are counted for the seed, and they're being brought into this by the seed. And this is why the Apostle John, the angel, was pretty much messing with him. It doesn't say, well, and thus that day the angel messed with Apostle John by asking him this question. No, he was messing with him. When you read, when you extrapolate, it says a multitude from the tribulation, Revelation 7:9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. The white robes is what? The righteousness of saints. Who are the saints? The Israelites. So these Israelites happen to be coming from all these different nations because we were scattered among everybody. So the Apostle John actually seen Israelites looking like different nations. It says, and cry with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our power, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood about the throne and about the elders and the four beasts, and fell before the throne of on their faces, and worshipped the Most High, saying, so be it. Blessings and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our power forever and ever. So be true. Now verse 13. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? So he was just asking that question really to mess with him. He said, and I said, sir, thou knowest. So what did the Apostle John do? He didn't know. But instead of giving a foolish answer, he gave a safe answer. Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, these are they which came out of great tribulation. Because the great tribulation is what? Let's go real quick to Acts. We'll read that again, 14 and 22. It says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of the Most High. So Israelites, even the elect, through much tribulation will enter into the kingdom of heaven. All right. So going back, it says, Revelation 7:14, and I said unto him, sir, thou knowest. And he said unto me, these are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So who in the fuck are you to judge the Lord's servants? No matter what they look like. And them clowns that say that, oh, do the Edomite. These brothers can run circles around you with the scriptures through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. How about that? They'll be able to break things down that'll make your head spin. Shit that you don't even know about. So how stupid would you look? Oh, you an Edomite, man. Oh, you a Hamite. Like the brothers out there in Canada. Real dark brother. He's real. Oh, he can't. He's not Israelite. He's too dark. He's too black. The fuck out of here. What's wrong with you guys, man? What the fuck is wrong with you? You got to be the most ignorant motherfuckers on the planet, man. It says, let's go back. It says, therefore are they before the throne of the Most High, and serve him day and night in his temple. The Most High ain't going to have no heathen serving him in his temple. Let's go to Revelation 11. And 1, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of the Most High and the altar, and them that worship therein. Why? For the Israelites. But the court which is without the temple, leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And they're not going to come into the temple. That's why he said, therefore are they before the throne of the Most High, and serve him day and night in his temple. Because these are Israelites. They just happen to look like the heathen. But guess what? They're going to be changed. And he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. Come on, man. The Most High put a separation between us and them heathens, but then he's going to dwell around among the heathens? Come on, man. Get the fuck out of here, man. What is that? Exodus? Is that Exodus 11 and 7? Yep, but against the children of Israel shall not Barak Tehel Bashem El Shai. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that you may know that how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. Same thing with the other nations. This is why he gave us the law, statutes, and commandments to separate us from these heathens. Leviticus 20 and 22. You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land whither I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. And you shall not walk in the manner of the nations which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them, meaning removed them. But I have said unto you, you shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am the Lord your power, which have separated you from other people. And even when the Lord had Abraham give his blessings, and about to pass the inheritance on to Isaac, what did it say? It said that Abraham gave gifts to his the children of his concubines and sent them away from Isaac, because they were not going to be partakers with Isaac or with Jacob. Bottom line. So going back, it says, verse 16, they shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto living fountains of waters, and the power shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. So, do you look at things after the outward appearance? If you do, then you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified, and you few sisters. Until the next time I say shalom.